So in the great hard drive crash of Halloween 2024, I lost the intro to this particular vlog, and so I'm just popping in to let you know. We are doing part 2 of my A to Z reading vlog. The goal of this is to read down things that are on my back TBR, so things that have been on for quite some time where possible, but driven by each letter of the alphabet. So in some cases, if I don't have any viable candidates, I'll take a more recent TBR acquisition, but in general, trying to read down my pile of books, and the first one was really successful, so let's dive in and see how this one did. We're back at it, folks. J is for Jar of Hearts, and this is supposed to be my check-in, but it's actually going to be a DNF, which I know may not be a great start to the video, but honestly, the writing in this is good. This is just not a book for me. It is a trope set that is, like, I like sometimes, but it's not a go-to. It's a Secrets in the Past, revisiting a teenage, murder investigation, and figuring out what happened. So we start with our main character, Geo, like on the stand, and it comes out on the stand that she was complicit in this death in some way of her friend, 20 years earlier, and she's taken into custody. So that's like the first 50% of the book. I was already kind of out because in that first 50 pages, we have a described on-scene essay moment in the prison. Don't love. And then I was like, okay. So I went to look up some more content warnings, and apparently that happens more than once in this book. So even though I think the writing is very nice, I think I'm concluding that Jennifer Hillier is just an author who doesn't have the same trope sensibilities I do. The other book I read from her, I also enjoyed. I want to call like Little Secrets, Dark Little Secrets, something like that. That was like an infidelity based one, more of a domestic thriller. And I had the same feeling, which is well written, but just not for me. So I'm actually going to call it here at the 50-page mark. So that's J. K is actually a book I started years ago and was very much enjoying, but I was a scaredy cat, and that's Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. And this one was scaring me too much to read in the house alone, but you know what? I've seen some things since I first tried to read this, and I have read more horror, and just in general, I'm in a different place in life. So I think that this is going to be fine. I was enjoying it. It was just scaring me. But, I'm entering Halloween season, so this is perfect. So it's, if I'm remembering rightly, it's kind of a more horror take on an isolation thriller type trope involving a bunch of writers in this alleged haunted house. So I think this is going to scare me, but it's the right season to be scared, so I'm excited for this. So this is going to be K. We have made some progress, my friends. So I think when I last left you, I was going on to Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I did finish this one, and I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I'm a little conflicted because in terms of the characters, I have some real problems with this. All of the characters sound the same. Their voice is so similar. Regardless of like gender, background, like it's all one person really, but just skinned differently. And it creates, especially the main female character is giving very manic gothic dream girl. It's giving very the cool girl from the novel Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, like when they're talking about like cool girls, they love beer and hot dogs and they're kick-ass, but they also, want to screw every guy you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't like that. That really dings this down for me, because otherwise I would say the haunted house portion of this is one of the best haunted house like sequences or montages I've ever read. Like, I really liked the actual house components of this. I thought it was interesting and well done and suspenseful and not like a cop-out, which I think sometimes can happen in haunted house stories. So yeah, that part I really enjoyed, but the character work was bad. So I'm going to land at a 4 stars, because I think I probably would have given this a 4.5 if it wasn't for the character stuff. But yeah, this I'm going to call a success. So K was a pretty good success, and perfect because I'm reading this in October, so it was seasonally appropriate. Okay, then I tried to move on to L. Or I didn't try, I have moved on to L. So I tried to read The Long Weekend by Gilly Macmillan. Blah, blah, blah. And I noped out of this so quickly because of the writing. I wanted to like this because it is, yeah, I only got to page 21. I wanted to like this because it is kind of an isolation trope of people, or not kind of, it is an isolation trope. It's supposed to be sort of like a couple, a couples retreat, or a bunch of couples getting together for a long weekend at this remote location, like this converted barn. But the writing is so like staccato-y and affected in a way that really doesn't read well to my ear, like my reading ear. So didn't enjoy that. And then it also sounds like it's going to be more of a domestic suspense. Like the conflicts it's setting up are reading very domestic suspense, which is also not for me. So those two strikes against it, I'm going to DNF this. And I decided I didn't get far enough into this for it to count. So now I am on to Lost Among the Living, which I'm actually just about done with. This is Simone St. James. I would describe this as historical fiction predominantly, this particular one. It has a paranormal mystery element, and it also has some like romance elements to it, but I would say it reads mostly like a kind of like a gothic historical fiction, maybe. A generous comparison would be like Rebecca from Daphne du Maurier, but, this isn't as good as that. But it is, yeah, it's very readable. I've never read something from Simone St. James I didn't like. Her characters are always, compelling. Her writing is really fluid and reads well to me. She gives me enough historical detail in these kind of historical ebooks she does sometimes that I buy it, but it's not like, overly focused on that. Motivations are interesting. I think her paranormal elements are always fun and, ooky spooky. This particular one is set right after World War I, where our main character is a presumed widow, so her husband's body has never been found. But he didn't come back from World War I. She's a companion to his rich aunt, who takes her back to the family estate, and things are unfolding from there. So I'll check in once I'm actually done. But so far, liking, not loving, but a solid Simone St. James book. The second loss of the Great Hard Drive crash of 2024 was this next clip. So to wrap up Lost Among the Living, I enjoyed it. Probably my least favorite of Simone St. James's books, but that doesn't really say much because I still quite enjoyed it, and I've quite enjoyed all of her books. I think she's a really good writer, and yeah, 3.5 stars, B+, enjoyed. Now on to M. M is for Marlow Murder Club, which is about a little lady who thinks that her neighbor has been murdered. The police don't believe her, and she gets roped into shenanigans. I think when I had checked in, my initial impression was I'm liking the writing, the character is delightful, and it's giving me strong Thursday Murder Club vibes, but I mean, just because like the main character, the protagonist is an older British lady, but I think she has her own vibe. I mean, I don't think it's like a direct ripoff. And I remember the opening scene, she's skinny dipping in the Thames, and I remember being concerned about getting an infection from that. Yeah. Okay, that's where we were, I think, for this clip. Okay, thanks, bye. Okay, delighted to report that the Marlow Murder Club was a delight. I don't think I should tell you much more about it than what we talked about previously, because it's not very long, and it's a cute little cozy mystery, so yeah. It has the a twist in it, or like a solution that I particularly like. It has some stuff with like art, theft / forgery, and boating, fancy pants hobbies of the rich. And we got Judith and her gals trying to solve shit. So yeah, I just thought that this was cute and fun, enjoyable. I don't know that I'll make it a point to keep going, because I believe that there's more after this, but I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. So yeah, 4 stars, enjoyable. And moving on, M was for Marlow Murder Club. N was going to be for The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. I made a good go of this. I got to page 45, and it starts 200 years previously, then 50 years, then 5 years. So like I got up to the present time. There's nothing wrong with this. It's clearly going to be a very classic kind of like quest fantasy type story. Our main character is this Eboran, which is a bad thing in this world because of the bad luck things that happened 200 years ago. But he's setting out to like try to restore the fortunes of his realm. I don't know. I just think this kind of high fantasy is just not for me right now. Also, Hastings, what do you think? How would you rate The Ninth Reign? What do you think? Yeah, he agrees. Okay, so not bad. And I like nothing against this book. I just think I am my reading journey right now. I'm not in the mood for this kind of high fantasy. So maybe I'll come back to it at some point, but I'm DNFing and unhauling for now and repurposing this yarn band for a bookmark somewhere else. So we're not going to read that for N, though I guess I could count that. But instead, we're going to go to an old faithful, which is an isolated closed circle mystery called Nowhere to Hide by Nell Pattinson. And a bunch of friends on a holiday hiking trip. Starts getting snowy. Someone's going to die. Sounds like a book for me. So I anticipate I will at least finish this one, even if it's not my favorite. It's my favorite trope, so I can't be too mad about that. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right. I feel like I need to get a gimbal for you guys. I'm sorry if this is shaky, but we're working with my phone, so we're doing what we can. Okay, so I finished Nowhere to Hide by Nell Pattinson, and I thought this was good. This is a good version of an isolated closed circle thriller. It is a group of bird watchers or like nature adventurers who are going out for a midnight birding, and this one older guy in the group got drunk a week beforehand and said something weird about like, I know all your secrets, and he's killed. So like, who did it? Probably whoever had the biggest secret to hide. And now they're out like in the woods, in the snow, and whatever. So I thought this was really solid. I think that, it's not a very long book. I think it's 350 pages, but like it's sort of a smallish book. So I think realistically it's probably closer to like 250 in a standard trade paperback. And I think that if this had just been a novella, the pacing would have been even better and this would have been more successful. I think it has too many points of view. There's like 8 points of view in this. I think if the points of view had been a little bit more limited, it would have been tighter and more successful and more like just nonstop thrills, which I think is the best angle for this length of this kind of book. But I still think that this was like well executed and entertaining and a good version of this trope. So I would give this like 3.5 stars, which is like a B+ for me. Then I would say next, O is for Old Woman with the Knife by Gu Byung-mo. And this is the debut in English from this author, who is a South Korean author. And I picked this up because it was described as kind of a similar premise, I thought, to Killers of a Certain Age, or like an older retiring or near retirement aged assassin. Hence the little old lady with the knife. This is set in South Korea. And yeah, so far I'm kind of bored. I'm about probably 20% of the way in, and if it wasn't so short, I would probably DNF it. It's reading less like a thriller and more like lit fic. And as lit fic, I'm kind of indifferent to it. So I'm hoping it either becomes horror or thriller at some point. But since it is so short, I'll just keep going with it and see what happens. The writing's okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge that because it is in translation, so I should kind of have that as a grain of salt. But yeah, so far, you're on a gimbal, so we can all rejoice about that. I think I'm supposed to be giving you a final check-in on Old Woman with the Knife. I have no good thoughts about it. It started meh, it stayed meh. I'll try to formulate something for the end of the vlog, but I was supposed to just be doing a check-in on Poison is Not Polite, but I just sat down and read the whole GD thing because it was a delight. And what I've been wanting in a middle grade mystery for a while. It was so lovely. It's so fun. It's interesting doing these projects because I read these books that I'm like, this was just sitting on my TBR waiting for me to decide it was time to read it. So it's a middle grade mystery, but surprisingly adult content. I thought that somebody just gets poisoned at this party, but they didn't actually die. No, dude actually dies, and there's like on-page adultery happening. So anyway, there are these two girls and they have a detective agency. One is Daisy Wells, one is Hazel Wong, hence Wells and Wong. And they go to Daisy's house and her dad is a lord. So it's like a manor, and somebody dies and they gotta figure out who done it. And it's not an isolated closed circle mystery, but it's definitely a country house mystery. And it was just delightful and a lovely palate cleanse and exactly what I was in the mood for. So I really enjoyed this. 4 stars. And then moving on, the only Q title that I have that meets the parameters of this challenge is Queen of the Tiles by Hannah Alkoff. And it's another YA middle grade type mystery, I believe. I don't know. We'll find out. So this is what is going to be Q. So this is up next. Okay. We are back, guys, and I am officially going to decide that we are going to quit this vlog while we're ahead because, oh boy, are we ahead. I'm getting all of these alphabetized so that we can talk about them in order. I should have done this before I hit film, but if you can't tell, the reason we're calling it while we're ahead is because I just had a second really good book. I was coming down from the high of Poison is Not Polite and actually kept going up. I didn't come down with Queen of the Tiles by Hannah Alkoff. And I have not decided yet if this is a 4.5 or a 5 star. It feels more like a 4.5, but if I'm thinking about other YA books with a mystery component that I like better, there's not that many. So I kind of feel like in terms of for YA mystery, this is a 5 star. So I don't know. I think I should go with 4.5. That feels more right to me. But I loved this book, guys. This was so good. I flew through it in a morning. And I just love this. I'm not sure that I would describe this as full-on YA mystery. I think a better expectation for this one is a general fiction contemporary YA with a strong mystery component, because it is dealing a lot with grief and friendship. Actually, I'll just read you the little thing she has at the beginning, because I thought it was, this set the expectation for me of like, oh, I bet this isn't like a full-on mystery. And that I think is right. Author's note, people talk about the stages of grief as if they're levels to clear in a video game, and once you hit the final boss level and defeat the monster therein, you're free. The truth is that there is no linear progression to grief. If it is a game, it is one that twists and turns and darts back and forth through many layers. One day it's easy, one day it isn't, and one day it attacks you out of nowhere just when you think you've moved on. This book is about Scrabble and about murder and about complicated relationships. It is also, in the end, about the many ways we cope with loss and about beautiful, hideous grief. I trust you to know if you can handle that today, and if you can't, there's always tomorrow. I just thought that was actually a really lovely note about grief in general, but also sets, I think, the tone of this pretty well. It's not a heavy book, I would say, but it does start. So the opening scene is our main character's best friend dies at a Scrabble tournament when she's about to win, she's in the final game. She's known as Queen of the Tiles, and she just passes away. It's a little unclear first if it's murder or not, but it's ruled a natural death, like a heart issue. But there's some question marks about it because she was a teenager. She was 15. Obviously, that's a little bit sudden. Cut to a year later, her best friend, Najwa, I believe is her name. Yeah, Najwa. Najwa is coming back to that same tournament where her best friend Trina died, and she has not been in the Scrabble tournament circuit. But she wants to come back. She wants to do it kind of for Trina, and see, she could be the new Queen of the Tiles. Like, she's that good, and she kind of wants to like win in her honor, sort of a thing. But when she gets there, somebody starts posting these things to Instagram on Trina's account that are alluding to the fact that it in fact was a murder and not natural causes. And so they're trying to figure out what happened. I just think the writing in this is excellent. And I don't know. I feel like this is a good example of, first of all, this is set in Malaysia and at a Scrabble tournament. How many YA books published here in the US have you seen do that? I can't think of any. I think that that's cool, and I love that it's a murder set, a YA murder mystery, not at a school setting, but also not, like, I don't know. I just felt like that was fresh. I've never seen that before. I thought that was really cool. I liked seeing, casual representation in here. That was also great. And then the writing is so good. I really enjoyed the writing in this. Like I said, it rides the line to general fiction rather than a mystery, which is a little bit of a hard sell for me in YA normally. But I think that the mystery component was just enough to keep this from veering into what I can sometimes not like in YA, which is a little bit of melodrama, because a lot of times these really big things have happened and it's just a lot of like stewing in the feelings of it, which if you are a teen, that checks out. That was how I was as a teen, but I don't necessarily always love to read about that. The mystery component and the tournament aspect gave this enough of a plot that it kept things moving. I really, really enjoyed the characters in here. And the mystery, I wouldn't say is like completely surprising to me as an adult reader, but I think was really well executed. There's, subtle moments of humor. I wouldn't say, even though this is a lot about grief, I wouldn't say that this is like a heavy read. I just thought that this was really, really good, and just, highly recommend. I saw it get good buzz the year it came out, but honestly, it should have gotten more because this is fantastic. We're going to end on a high note. So that was my cue. I gave this 4.5. I think that feels right. Poison is Not Polite gets a 4. The Old Woman with the Knife gets a 3. Even now, I'm not sure I remember much about this. This was so blah to me, guys. I feel sad. I was hoping I was going to love that. I DNF this one. I think we talked about that, so take that out. Nowhere to Hide, I gave a 3.5 to. Thought it was good. Marlow Murder Club, I gave 4 stars to. Really enjoyed. I gave Lost Among the Living 3.5. Always love me some Simone St. James. Kill Creek, I gave 4 stars to because of how good the haunted element was, but side-eyeing on some of the character stuff. And then Jar of Hearts, I DNF'd because it was too much for me. And I didn't have any other J's on the TBR, so it stands. So we got J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, and then you're gonna have to wait for R to the next one. So the next ABC backlist mood reading vlog I think will be in 2025. I was hoping to finish this up this year, but that's okay. That was not what the year had in store for me, and that's fine. So we will kick the next one off with R and finish this whole project off. I will also do stats because I've been keeping track of which ones I like the best, how many of them I'm glad I kept versus ones that I could have just unhauled instead of reading. Lots of good stuff like that. So check out that in the new year sometime, probably early in the new year. Maybe that's a good February project. Anyway, let me know what you thought about any of the books we covered. I also may have lost some of the footage for this. I need to double check if I have any of that left. So this also may be a really weird vlog because I may have half the footage and half not and have to figure out how to recover it. So with that being said, let me know what you thought about any of the books. Let me know how you're doing. Did you enjoy seeing a vlog from me again? It's been a long time. It felt nice getting back in the groove of that. And yeah, hit the bell if you want to know when I post. I think I should be posting again pretty soon because we're coming up into Thanksgiving and and the end of the year. So we have a lot of end of the year stuff to get to. Okay. I can't believe we're already at the end of the year. Anyway, hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. Be good to yourself, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.